Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for those who are committed to taking control of their trading in order to achieve success, profitability, and longevity. Thank you for joining us. Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessTrader.com nightly wrap-up show. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody had a great weekend. It is a couple of minutes before the closing bell. Market continues to do its thing, right? Continues to do its thing. NASDAQ up 100 points. Let me know if you heard this before. Market is strong, right? Continues to be strong every single day. Just when you think the bulls are getting tired, they continuously uprise and go higher. And even on rest days, they still find their ways to the upside. And most important part is this is going to be a very short week, right? We have the 4th of July weekend coming up here. So I do know a lot of people are off or taking off this week. So the fact that we continue to kind of melt up is a very, very bullish thing. You know, guys, how long is this going to last? Your guess is as good as mine, but the point is continuously have the same roadmap. Again, the stocks that are up for 2-3 weeks, leave those alone. They could get pulled. The stocks that are just coming out of the ranges, those are the ones we are looking at. And it's very, very important to understand that because, again, the last thing you want to do is be in a trade that broke out 3 weeks ago, and there is, something called gravity. We see it all the time. A stock gets pulled, and the next thing you know, you are down very, very aggressively. But the most important part of what we're seeing right now is rotation. We talked about this today in the webinar that even the majority of the day, when you saw some pretty, just basically rest days. If you look at a lot of the leaders that had big runs, I'm not saying Google is in one of those stocks, but the point is you can see a lot of these big names are resting today. Google is resting. AMD that had an incredible run is resting. Amazon that had an incredible run is resting. ARM that had an incredible run. Again, you could go one by one. You can clearly see the fact that all these stocks are still resting and the NASDAQ is still 100 points. That's kind of a big deal. One stock is not resting and is getting very, very close to a very uncomfortable conversation that we're going to have if we start losing the 50-day moving average in the next couple of days is Tesla. The fact that it lost this whole range here, right? This whole range that it reclaimed back on June the 23rd is not good. And guys, look how close we are to the 50-day moving average. It's just one of those things that you don't want to have that conversation if you're a perma bull. You don't want to have that conversation if you're an investor, but you want to have that conversation because you want to be prepared if the stock loses the 50-day moving average. We don't know if it will, but the point is now, guys, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row of lower highs. We're about to approach this bottom range here. So if the stock cannot reclaim back at least the 5-day moving average at some point this week, we're going to have this conversation again. And the wonderful thing about the 50-day moving average, it's exaggerated, right? So look how close we are to the 50. Let's not put the cart in front of the horse just yet, but be aware, right? Start being aware, start kind of understanding the dynamics where the stock can be if it does indeed lose its 50-day. We did see some pretty aggressive $310 and $300 put buying coming in the morning today. But again, we are not quite there yet for technical damage. But if it does start getting close, you don't want to be anywhere around it, especially if you are long. Coinbase, right? Let's talk about Coinbase really quickly. Coinbase had a godlike run, right? An incredible godlike run. And you can see here for the last 3 days is putting in lower highs and lower lows. And it's sitting right on the 5-day moving average. Now, why do I bring this attention to you, right? The stocks that have
the market on close imbalance data.
Stocks that have really, really big runs, right? Stocks that have really, really big runs. What they usually do is once they get tired and the sellers are starting to get a little bit more enthusiastic, they start battling for control of the 5-day moving average. And if this thing starts losing the 5-day moving average, that could be a problem. Let me give you guys a kind of recent example, which we saw that, right? CRCL. So CRCL had this godlike run. It stopped at the 5-day moving average. Well, guess what happened, right? When it lost the 5-day moving average, it started a severe next series of events of selling. Again, you don't care if you're long down here, but if you care up here, that's a problem. So if you look at Coinbase, I want to watch it for the next couple of days below the 5-day. If it starts losing the 5-day moving average, just like Circle, CRCL, well, then there's a possibility of a nice backside trade for a potential move back to the 10-day moving average. Look at a stock like SOUN, right? SOUN today is busting out of this channel here, right? You have a channel here that started on May the 30th. This is a long distribution. This is a full month distribution. And now you have expansion volume. Again, if you are a believer of expansion volume coming out of a range, which is basically technical analysis, you want to keep an eye on this thing. This thing pivoted today above 1050, and the buyers that were coming in are the weekly $11 and $11.50 calls. A notable buyer came in for the September $16 call. Again, a name you want to watch. Okay, keep an eye on that as well. KTOS. Okay, it's in the defense, the defense space. Why is that important? Well, we got stuff going on in the Middle East, right? KTOS had this massive 2-day move last week, is resting today. Folks, if this thing just starts confirming the top of the channel and starts confirming Friday's highs, this thing is going to start the next leg up. A notable buyer came in for the July 18th expiration for the $50 call. So you definitely want to keep an eye on that as well. Robinhood. Robinhood all of a sudden is good. Right? Who had that on their bingo card a couple of years ago? So Robinhood is ripping here. We are seeing an intense amount of July the 11th expiration for the $100 calls. Massive call buying coming in the name all day. You got a massive expansion channel here for volume, nearly 90 million shares traded, only a few minutes left in the day. So this is a name you want to watch. You want to kind of buy this thing on potential dips, some washouts, and it's very, very important to understand that if you get a washout, a little bit of profit taking, that's a gift, right? You want that gift into the rising 60-minute support. Micro strategies, right? MSTR, obviously, Bitcoin is still acting very, very well. Stock reclaimed back last week's highs of 398. We saw some pretty aggressive buyers coming in. A notable buyer came in for 450 grand for the weekly 412.50 calls. You definitely want to pay attention to that. CHYM, hell must be freezing over. It finally went, right? I've been talking about the stock now for 3 days. It finally went. I made some sales in the 35.50s. I would really love to see this thing kind of open up here. But again, this will be the highest close in this whole formation. The next key level on this thing is going to be 36.79, which is the June 17th highs. If we could just get back above this 36.79, I do think there's a shot in the next couple of weeks that follow that this thing could test IPO highs. I want to definitely be around for that. Look at CRCL. Speaking of CRCL, right? So CRCL has been losing day after day after day. And if you guys remember Friday, it stopped right at this linear regression line, right? Now today it gapped up, got rejected. It's going red literally into the close here. Keep an eye on this, on last week's lows. If this thing starts losing last week's lows, this thing could get hit here. So definitely keep an eye on that. And last but not least, guys, watch Apple. Apple has been dead, okay? Dead as a doornail for the last, oh God, how long, right? Apple's been absolutely nothing. Today, Apple, as I was enjoying my afternoon swim, Apple at some point went absolutely nuts. I think they're replacing, I didn't see exactly what the news was. I think they're replacing Siri with AI, whatever the hell that was. It doesn't really make a difference. But there is a pulse, right? There is a pulse. And why is this important today? You got a nice little expansion volume channel. It reclaimed back the 50-day moving average. It did reclaim back the 200-day moving average as well. And right on the close, it's reclaiming back the 65-day EMA as well. I want to watch this thing for tomorrow. Again, I'm not really confident in the overnight exposure yet on Apple, but I will watch this thing for tomorrow. If it starts building above today's channel for tomorrow, maybe we could see a push to the 209, 210 level. You know what? While we're here, let's look at Apple's option flow together. So yeah, you can see here, they're coming for the weekly 212.50s, 210s, 212.50s, 210s. You kind of get the point, right? They're coming for the 210s, 212.50s. So I definitely want to keep an eye on Apple for tomorrow above today's range. But the most important part, guys, again, as we talk about all the time, folks, leave the guessing to the schmucks. Leave the guessing and the predicting to guys and gals on social media who have the experience of a 16-year-old. Well, what happens if you are a 16-year-old? What's your experience of a 14-year-old? Anyway, different conversation, different time. Most important, guys, relax, breathe. Your development will come. Your ability to be a professional trainer will come, but it only comes if you are digesting good information. If all you do is keep on hearing on social media, 1 + 1 = 6, well, guess what? That's how your career is predicated or gone. Anyway, folks, good night, everybody. God bless. Hope everybody is doing well. And with God's help, I will see you all tomorrow. Take care.